Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. You are listening to the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast brought to you by RealSport101.com and the Godfather's Hoe Train. That's right, we are coming to you live via the internet, and by live I mean we recorded this all together. It will not be edited, and it will be uploaded straight to SoundCloud. That's our definition of live. Joining me, as always, today is the muscle of the podcast, future voice of the Philippines, and hopeful MMA fighter, the one, the only, the Jaime.
What's up, wrestling fans? Perfect attendance as usual, so let's go.
And my tag team compatriot, you know him on YouTube or on Twitter as the Unfunny Comedian. He is Alex.
Hello. Henceforth, I will be known as the Uncoveffe Comedian.
There is the politics, and that is all the politics you will hear in this podcast. Now, before we go any further, there's something that I need to say. Now, for those of you that know me personally, which is a good majority of our listening audience, about 75% of what I say on this podcast and what I write about is actually me, and another 25% is a character I've created to make myself more interesting. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to be breaking that fourth wall and tearing everything down and telling you guys a little bit about who I am personally. Shortly after recording this podcast on last Friday, I got some terrible news that my best friend had succumbed to substance abuse. He overdosed. And apparently he had been struggling with it for quite some time. So the reason I tell you this is because I'm gonna make a plea right now, and this isn't a plea as a podcast host for a highly unsuccessful wrestling podcast. This isn't a plea as a writer or a former Marine or anything else. This is a plea as a member of the human race, of the human family, because whether we want to believe it or not, we are all members of a human family. If you know anybody that is struggling from substance abuse, anybody at all, please get them help. If you yourself are struggling with substance abuse, with addiction, please get help. Because one death from substance abuse is 2 deaths too many. And gee, wherever you're at, wherever you may be listening to me, just know that you're not going to be forgotten. And I'm going to take a little bit with you wherever I go, and that I love you, buddy. Alright, that being said, on with the show, I guess. Jaime, cheer me up. What did you like about wrestling this week?
My highest and low points came from one match, and that is the SmackDown Live women's match, where, the highest point for me was definitely Charlotte powerbombing Natalya through the announce table, but my lowest point was also that the match did not push through, because the powerbomb through the table was promising had the match went on.
You know, you're absolutely right, and I understand why the match didn't go on, because it gave us the first ever, the history-making, the first time we're ever going to see it, and hopefully the last time we're ever going to see it, women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So it was a necessary evil to do the bait and switch there. I agree with you. I love seeing Natalya get powerbombed because I've hated Natalya for the last couple of months. But yeah, I completely agree with you. I would have rather have seen the match, but I understand why it didn't happen. Alex, tell me, what was the thing that you loved about wrestling this week?
This was a really bad week for wrestling.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. Finn Balor's abs.
Anything you want to tell us there, bud? Got a little man crush on Finn Balor?
It's not a little one.
Oh my gosh. Hey, you know what? To each his own. If you like a guy that wants to paint himself up like a comic book character and whatever, that's fine. I'm more of a John Cena guy myself. You know, I like the big muscles. I'm just saying, I'm a John Cena guy myself. Jaime, who's your favorite wrestler?
Well, I also grew up, John Cena's actually my childhood hero, but if you come to think of it, wrestling-wise as a whole, I'd say I'd like CM Punk and Austin Aries.
Oh, going with a little TNA vibe. I dig it. All right, Jaime, tell me, worst thing about wrestling this week? Besides the SmackDown Women's non-match.
Too many to think of, but maybe it will come from Impact. The Ali versus Amber Nova match.
Oh my god, yes, terrible! Explain to me, what is Ali's appeal? Is it just the fact that she acts like she's 12, looks like she's 14? Is that the appeal there?
Yes, definitely. Even in the ring, she looks like she's 12.
Oh my god, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's the thing about Ali. She was a Billy Corgan creation, and had Billy Corgan had the chance, that would have been a storyline that went on for 2 or 3 years where she became an actual wrestler. I guarantee you that. As it stands now, she's just sort of a thing.
But what kind of a thing is she? Is she meant to be taken seriously in the Knockouts division? Is she supposed to be a viable threat?
No, I don't think she's supposed to be a threat. I think she's supposed to be sort of in that Santino Marella or Grado role.
Just kind of another pretty face to take up 10 minutes of my time when I could be watching something that means anything. Very well. Alex, what did you hate about wrestling this week? Just pick one.
The Alexa Bliss, the Bailey, This Is Your Life segment.
Oh my gosh. How did I forget about that terribleness? That was god-awful. And hold on, I just want to say for the record, me and Jaime, we're not misogynists. We love women. Alex, on the other hand, as you've heard in the last couple of weeks, does. But we've been really hard on the women this week. It's not intentional. It's just been really bad. But yes, absolutely. This Is Your Life. Mick Foley was the only one that could ever pull that spot off. Alexa Bliss is not Mick Foley. Bailey is not The Rock. That was terrible. Now, Alex, tell me, candlestick on a pole match. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much sense does it make?
It makes Vince Russo amount of sense.
Ooh, sick burn. Explain.
It's I don't know. It's such a random stipulation. Like, well, first of all, blank on a stick matches are always terrible, and they make no sense. And secondly, how is that like a feud-ending match? Like, I'm going to beat you so bad with this one weapon.
Especially when, on any given wrestling night, there's 3 of them under the ring.
Exactly. On the same card, there's going to be people fighting in a steel cage.
The whole Extreme Rules thing just blows my mind. Jaime, answer me this question, would you? How are you going to have a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules? How are you going to have a pay-per-view that is a direct descendant of ECW itself and be able to have a title change hands on a disqualification?
Actually doesn't make sense. The moment that I heard that it's just going to be a regular match where the title will change hands via disqualification, I already knew that what's going to happen in this match. Regardless of who wins, it's a dull match. It's the irony where it's the pay-per-view's called Extreme Rules, but in that match you're not allowed to be extreme.
So that's what's extreme about it? It's extreme irony?
Yes, definitely.
Oh
extreme irony.
That is terrible. That is terrible. Alex, am I wrong here with my outrage?
No.
Short, sweet, and to the point, like it. Okay, since we're already on the topic of Extreme Rules, let's start off with a match that I am pretty sure I couldn't care any less to see. Jaime, this is up your alley. It's got the 205 Live. Is it still a love triangle, or is it just Alicia Fox having sour grapes? So
it's pretty much that. You see, Alicia Fox has fallen down the card long ago, and Sasha Banks has also fallen down the card already. And you have these 2 men fighting over a girl, so I think it's just a filler type of match.
But that's the thing. They're not even fighting over the girl anymore. Noam Dar has her.
Yeah.
Rich Swann never wanted her. And now he's in a match, and Sasha Banks got involved. Why? She's there. I mean, I guess she needed something to do for the pay-per-view. Alex, do you care about this match?
Well, I think you know the answer, of course, but no. In all genuineness, I'm trying to. I really am, because I like Sasha Banks and I like Noam Dar, but no, this is such a stupid match with such a stupid setup.
No, I completely agree with you. Is there anything that could make you care about this match?
Well, it would have been better if Sasha Banks was paired with the returning Cedric Alexander. It's like trying to make a struggle to make Alicia Fox jealous and just to mess with Noam Dar. So it could have been better to put Cedric Alexander there instead of putting Rich Swann,
I completely agree with you. Alex, is there anything in this world that could make you not want to go to sleep?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
Fair enough. While we're on the topic of 205 Live, Jaime, how many times have we seen Austin Aries and Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship?
Well, we had WrestleMania. We had a rematch that ended in disqualification, if I'm not mistaken. Then, here, Extreme Rules.
They never fought for it before WrestleMania?
No, I think the first one was WrestleMania, if I'm not mistaken, because that was like Aries' return match.
It seems like this feud has been going on for 6 months, and, we've had some guys on the periphery with TJ Perkins and Jack Gallagher, which there's an extra G in there, so it should be Gallagher, but whatever. Is this the end of it, Jaime? Is this the end of the only reason I should watch 205 Live?
Yes, I already said last week that this might be the end of it. Us writers at Real Sport, we have this predictions thing. I think I was the only one who predicted Neville was going to win this, because Neville's win is eventually going to transcend into this empty promise feud with TJP, eventually.
Right. But one thing, that's a good way of looking at things. But it could also go down like this. TJP gets mad at Neville for losing the title. Those two fight for X amount of times. At some point, Neville gets the title back. Maybe a fake injury to TJP. He comes back and like, hey, you got it now. I want it. We're doing this. And they get their match later on down the road, maybe at WrestleMania next year. Austin Aries has to win this if he ever wants to be relevant anywhere else in the WWE ever again. Because if he doesn't win this match, he might as well go back to NXT and reinvent himself, because 205 Live ain't working for him. Alex, what do you think?
I think it's what's confusing about this whole thing to me is obviously Neville is going over, right?
I'd say.
So then you go into the TJ Perkins Neville feud. Isn't it too soon to turn TJ Perkins back to a face?
Well,
Neville.
It could be, the bad guy versus bad guy. Maybe Austin Aries stays around. I don't know. But yeah, you made me agree to something that I wasn't planning on agreeing to. Maybe Neville does win this. The more I think about it, the more it does make sense, but I still think this has to be an Austin Aries victory, if for all else, just to keep him around. But I can see what you're saying, Alex, there. Like, I don't know if it's... Maybe we see a turn up for Neville. Maybe him and Austin Aries tear down the house for 20, 25 minutes. He shakes hands with him, he gains respect, TJ Perkins comes out, levels Neville, Austin Aries saves him, Neville turns face and goes up against the evil TJ Perkins, although with TJP's entrance music and the way he's marketed, he's kind of marketed as that good guy with the video game character and everything else. That's hard to say. Let's move on to the Alexa Bliss Bayley match. Alex, Redeem yourself. Do you hate this or no?
I absolutely hate this. This is terrible. I think it had so much. The Alexa Bliss Bayley segment on Raw, the This Is Your Live segment, had so much potential to actually insert heat into this feud. But it was so terrible that it's drained it of what life it did have.
Oh, absolutely. They tried to do what they did with The Rock and Mick Foley. But it fell so flat. And that whole best friend or ex-boyfriend kissing thing.
That was so stupid. Why do you have to do that stupid soap opera bullshit? Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Well, we are uncensored from now on. Because I've got enough gray hair from editing, so... Sorry, guys. But yeah, I completely agree with you on that. There was no reason for that. She could have just, instead of bringing people out, she could have brought out former wrestlers, maybe even a trainer at NXT that said, wow, Bayley's really overachieving. She shouldn't be here. She could have brought out, somebody that is no longer in NXT that she wrestled with and like, yeah, Bayley injured me because Bayley's terrible. They could have brought out a former feud she had back in when she was training and said Bayley was so unhardcore that we couldn't even have a match because she was such a terrible wrestler. That would have been so much better than, hey, this is your ex-boyfriend from high school, and this is your ex-best friend from school, and oh my god, it's so pretty.
Here's the thing, okay, I get it. They want to tell the story of Bayley won't go hardcore, and Alexa Bliss is trying to, taunt her and maybe goad her into being hardcore. I don't know, but I guess they're trying to tell that story of Bayley eventually, inevitably, getting the kendo stick and winning with it. Right? That's the story they're trying to tell.
You know what this reminds me of? And Jaime, you'll probably get this reference more than Alex will. Y'all remember Head Cheese? Al Snow, Steve Blackman? Where Al Snow kept goading Steve Blackman into having a personality, kept trying to change him. Alexa Bliss is Al Snow. Bayley is Steve Blackman. Alexa Bliss is trying to make Bayley be hardcore. She is the kendo stick on a pole is the proverbial wedge of styrofoam cheese that was put on Steve Blackman's head. Jaime, am I wrong here?
Yeah, definitely. That's where it's going.
Yeah, I hope we get Chester McCheeserton. I hope we get somebody coming out in a mouse costume with no ass cheeks. I miss that. I really miss that.
I mean, that's probably how they'd pop the ratings, putting Bayley in a costume with no ass, right?
Well, it's about... No, I can't say that. I gotta be a good guy. No, hell, I'm a bad guy, ain't I? That's the only way you can look at Bayley and think, wow, she's kind of good looking, is from behind. Because that face and the chin, just saying... Nia Jax and her kind of... Nia Jax is better looking. Anyway, moving on... Let's go to the tag team match. We have the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Jaime, give me your prediction.
I think I'm going with the Hardys here, but it's interesting that the Hardys chose a match where potentially it's in Sheamus and Cesaro's, playing field, an enclosed playing field with two big guys, two powerful guys. Would the Hardys really want that over, let's say, a ladder or a TLC match? So it's interesting.
I completely thought the exact same thing. I wound up, in our Facebook group was going through Raw Live and saying stuff like that. And when they said steel cage match, I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of... Really? Really? Alex, are we going to see Jeff Hardy do a swanton off the top of the cage?
Of course we are. That's a guarantee at this point.
So that's a guarantee. You're willing to put your spot on this podcast on the line to say that Jeff Hardy is going to flip himself off the cage.
Either Jeff Hardy is going to do a swanton, which is the more likely, or Matt's going to do a leg drop off the top of the cage. Someone is going to jump off the top of the cage, and it's going to be one of the two Hardys.
All right, you heard it here first. That is a bona fide guarantee from the unfunny comedian. The misogynist himself is making this pick. Jaime, is he right? Will we see a death-defying leap from one of the brothers Hardy?
It's kind of risky at this point in their career, but let's say I'll give it a 50-50.
You want to say...
Yeah, it's so risky that Jeff Hardy jumped off a tree in TNA, right? That's so risky for them.
The 20-foot ladder at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I mean, that...
After doing another ladder match the night before with the Young Bucks.
That is my point. Alex, we never got a prediction from you. Who wins this match?
I don't know. The Hardys, I guess. I'm over the nostalgia run.
You both are picking the undefeated streak to continue. You both are wrong, and let me tell you why. The Hardys are just that, like, they're a nostalgia act. They're not meant to go on 6-month title reigns. Look at the last nostalgia acts they brought back. The Dudleys. The New Age Outlaws. The Rock. Brock Lesnar. Well, Lesnar's a special exception. We'll get to him later. But still, you get to all of this. The nostalgia acts come back for the few months after WrestleMania when ratings take such a nosedive. They're actually under 2 million for Raw this week. They're not going to be around forever. And Sheamus and Cesaro are as hot as they're going to be. This is their best chance to do it. The steel cage match is often a feud killer match. The Hardys aren't going to be around. Matt and Jeff are getting up there in age. It's time to let Sheamus and Cesaro do their thing in the tag team division. It's time to move on from Matt and Jeff Hardy. Everybody's clamoring for the Hardy Boys to make a singles run. This would be the time for them to do it. Agree, disagree, Alex?
The problem with the Hardys going on a single run right now, it's the reason I'm mostly getting tired of the Hardys at this point, is because of how much Matt won't shut the hell up about it on Twitter.
Oh my god.
Matt doesn't have the rights to the broken gimmick, so he can't do a singles run. And Jeff is just Jeff.
Whoa. Matt did a singles run long before he was ever broken. He can be Matt Hardy version 2.
But no one's gonna care. Everyone's gonna want the character where they can chant delete,
oh my god,
delete. And they're just, no one's gonna care about it.
It can all be set up in one promo. Hey, Jeff got hurt at Extreme Rules, so you know what? You guys knew me when I was by myself as Matt Hardy version 1. But I had to delete version 1, and now I'm Matt Hardy version 2. And he comes back, he still does the delete thing, and now he's Matt Hardy version 2, and he can push, he can get pushed.
I don't see that work. Maybe if they did Big Money Matt, it might go over better, but I just don't see another version Matt Hardy working.
No, I think it would absolutely work. Jaime, what do you think? Hardy's singles run, yay or nay?
Pretty much yay, because I already have seen a glimpse of what Matt Hardy version 2 can do. Remember before he turned broken? Remember his feud with EC3? That was a good one.
Very true. And you know, that's something that we're going to talk about TNA later in the show after we get done with Extreme Rules. EC3 may be my new favorite person in Impact. We'll more on him later. We kind of already talked about this match, so let's just blow past it real quick. Miz, Dean Ambrose, it's one of the most predictable matches I have ever seen at a pay-per-view, which probably means we're all going to be wrong. Jaime, who wins Ambrose, Miz? You're going the Miz, yeah?
Yeah, Miz.
Alex, Miz?
No, I'm going to have to go with Ambrose.
Oh! So one of us won't be fooled, but you're wrong, Alex, and let me tell you why. This is the most predictable match we have ever seen in a pay-per-view, well, ever, and it's terribly booked, it's a terrible idea. Maybe even the two people that are the most wrong, the Miz is in the right position, Ambrose is not. If they wanted to do this, no disqualification, but the title change hands kind of thing, it should be done with the Miz. It should be done with Ambrose. Excuse me. It should be done with somebody like the Big Show, like Mark Henry, where the Miz has no earthly chance of beating on a regular thing, and then the Miz just cheats his ass off doesn't get caught. Big Show picks up a steel chair, a la maybe like an Eddie Guerrero light sheet steel kind of thing, and that's how The Miz wins the Intercontinental Championship. He can beat Ambrose on his own. He doesn't need this crazy stipulation or Extreme Rules or anything else. This is terrible. Miz is going to win this. Then Ambrose is going to come back. This feud isn't over. We're going to probably see it pushed into SummerSlam for something grandiose, something tremendous, maybe a steel cage, maybe Hell in a Cell, maybe something we don't even know about yet. But The Miz is going to win this match.
You said it yourself. It's predictable, which means that it's the perfect time for Swerve.
True, and honestly, I'm hoping for a swerve, but we'll see. Now, the big main event. The match of the year, of the month, of the week is the Fatal 5-Way. Let's go with you, Jaime. Tell me who wins this match.
I already made my pick here with Seth Rollins to set up this potential this underdog David versus Goliath match at SummerSlam versus Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins has already built himself as the Kingslayer. He has outsmarted Samoa Joe in numerous occasions. Now it's time to be the Beast Slayer. That's what they see happening at SummerSlam.
True. You know, I see where you think that, but we've already seen it. There's 3 other matches we haven't seen. And I think they're going to want to push that, especially if they can drag that out until SummerSlam against Brock Lesnar. That's what they're going to want to push, not something we've already seen before. Although, what I said makes sense. What the WWE does is the exact opposite. How many times do we see Orton Cena? How many times do we see Cena and just about everybody else multiple times? So, you got Rollins. Alex, who's your pick?
I'm going to say Finn Balor for basically the same reason. It's perfect underdog story. Balor's big on his comeback after his injury. It's a match we haven't seen before in Balor, Lesnar. And I believe Meltzer even reported that the plans were for Balor, Lesnar at SummerSlam. So,
well, no, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is going to win on Sunday. There's also Great Balls of Fire. Lesnar may or may not be in attendance for Great Balls of Fire, and it wouldn't be the first time, as we saw in Impact this week, that a number 1 contendership has changed hands after a big match that was given to him. So is it possible maybe we see Roman Reigns win it, and then Finn Balor takes it from him at Great Balls of Fire to set up the SummerSlam match?
Are you really trying to use Impact as a good example of good storytelling?
No. I'm not good storytelling, just of storytelling. Big difference.
If you say so, I'm just saying using Impact as an example for anything other than what not to do is probably...
Whoa. That's unfair. In the last 6 months, Impact has really turned a corner. Yes, there are far too many title matches for my liking on a weekly show. It's every week, 3 titles are on the line. You're right. However, it's not as terrible as what it used to be. It's not as nonsensical as what it used to be. Other than Bruce Pritchard really getting under my nerves, and there's no reason for that to happen, I like Impact a hell of a lot more than I liked Impact in 2009, 2007, when Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and Vince Russo were running the show, and yeah, it didn't make any sense. Impact's gotten a lot better. Now, back to Extreme Rules. I'm going to make my pick, and it's neither of the ones you two picked. Samoa Joe. And hear me out on this, because Joe's going to win this, and it's going to be a bad guy versus bad guy. But remember my scenario that I said for Great Balls of Fire? Joe's going to win the match, because they need to do something with Joe other than him being pretty much a mercenary, a hired gun, an assassin. Joe wins this match. Rollins beats the tar out of him for the next 3 weeks at Raw, goads him into the number 1 contender rematch at Great Balls of Fire between him and Joe Rollins beats him there. Rollins goes to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. Maybe you work Finn in there too. Maybe Finn gets the, maybe it's Finn, Rollins, and Joe, and Joe and Rollins just go after each other. Finn winds up winning the match. Maybe we just do the whole 5-way rematch at Great Balls of Fire, because honestly, if Brock's not going to be there, what the hell's going to be the main event there? That's my pick, Samoa Joe. I didn't pick it in our little pool we got going, Jaime, but I'm going to call Samoa Joe on this. Now, we are about halfway through the podcast here today, and normally at this time we would take our time to put the pause on things and tell what we have going on. Jaime, writer for RealSport101.com, what is up your alley this week?
No, aside from the usual previews, I am actually thinking of doing something on either NXT or 205 Live. Something about the talent or maybe the storylines that might possibly work for 205 Live to potentially save it. So,
okay.
I'm still thinking about it right now.
Well, that sounds delightful. Oh, damn, the computer just dropped. Alrighty. Unfunny comedian Alex, what do you got going on this week, buddy?
I've actually put everything on pause due to some personal stuff I have going on. So
like you hating women?
Instead of talking about myself this week, I think I'm going to say, because of LGBT Pride Month, please go donate to the Trevor Project, GLAAD, any charity that helps LGBT, especially LGBT youths and LGBT rights.
Very well. Hey, and you know what? It's good to see that we're not all about wrestling here on the Caps Locks and Chair Shots podcast. Every once in a while, we do forget that the random voices you hear coming through whatever speaker that I share the link for that you guys listen to, we're actually human beings as well. And, with the tragedy that struck in my life, plus the stuff that's going on with Alex's and Jaime's as well, it's always good to remember that we're more than just an entertainment value. There's actually real people going on. And that goes for the people that we talk about, the wrestlers as well. Just something we maybe want to keep in mind. Now, just to let you all know about what's going on with me, I have recently picked up writing for hockey, for baseball, and for football on RealSport101.com. Also, working on a few big projects with the wrestling thing. Another Real Sport wrestling writer and myself are starting a bi-weekly column called Point Counterpoint, where we take turns arguing different sides of a particular topic. This week, me and Daniel Benz, we talked about which is more important, the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar or the man who holds the #1 contender spot on Monday Night Raw. You can check that article out on RealSport101.com. That's where you can find myself and all of my work, along with the real Jaime. Just search our names in RealSport101.com, and you can find all of Alex's work as the Unfunny Comedian on YouTube. Now, back to the show. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to both myself and Jaime's heart, and that is Impact Wrestling. Jaime, biggest thing to come out of Impact last night, was it the main event?
Definitely the main event, but I'm just happy that I have seen Eli Drake in the ring again.
Absolutely. You brought him up. Was he robbed? Was he robbed of the Grand Championship?
In a way, yes. Yeah, in a way, yes, he was robbed, but I think they just did that finish in order to set up something bigger, a bigger feud between either Drake or Moose, and you also have Chris Adonis involved, which makes it more interesting.
Yeah, what I think we may actually be seeing for that, and I have no idea how it's going to work. Maybe next week you see Adonis challenge for it in India, and then, he gets robbed by the special judges, which are a farce. And then maybe you see the first ever triple threat for the Impact Grand Championship, which we'll wind up with each man getting around, then it'll go to a sudden death draw, and then somebody's going to win it on a fluke or a disqualification or something stupid like that. I don't know. I have gone on record saying that the Impact Grand Championship is the worst gimmick title ever. Alex, how do you feel about the Impact Grand Championship and about the people surrounding it?
It was a stupid idea, and it had potential too. I get what they were going for. They wanted to do this this shoot style belt. This not actually shoot style, but this legitimate quote unquote wrestling belt. And I like the idea. I do, but they shouldn't have had rounds. They should have just had, okay, we'll go to a 15-minute time limit, 20 on pay-per-views. The judges will make a decision if it goes to a time limit. There you go. That's all you had to do with the belt. You didn't have to do the stupid round system.
Well, honestly, what I think it was, Vince Russo came up with the Brawl for All. And when the Impact Grand Championship came out, Vince Russo was, or still is, a consultant for Impact Wrestling. Maybe he thought, hey, that Brawl for All, that was a really good idea. Maybe we can tweak it a little bit and make it better. And that's exactly what this is. Make no mistake, this is the Brawl for All. Exactly, this is the Brawl for All, except less shoot fighting and more of a, hey, it's still a wrestling match kind of thing. It's terrible. And Moose, I'm sorry, I could care less about Moose. Like, I don't know what the point of saying, Moose, and pulling your fist down like you're, I don't even know what he's doing. I hate it. I hate Moose.
Fist pumping, dude.
No, it doesn't work for me. Jaime, does it work for you?
I literally saw someone on Twitter the other day say that he was fist pumping the crowd. It was the dumbest thing.
Jaime, does it work for you? Do you care? Moose, any at all?
I actually think that Moose has the potential to be a player in the World Championship picture, depending on how he was built. Because remember, he had a good match with Lashley. And he's fairly athletic for his size. He's able to put decent matches.
No. That was not a good match he had with Lashley. I'm sorry, it wasn't. But it does bring an interesting question to mind. Now, Moose is kind of in the same situation as a Baron Corbin. Upper mid-card guy, former NFL player, who is probably going to be in line for a push in the not-too-distant future. Alex, you have a match with both of them. Who would you rather face, Baron Corbin or Moose?
Are we talking in kayfabe or out?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. In kayfabe, I guess I'd rather face Moose because he doesn't have quite the win streak I think Baron Corbin does. But out of kayfabe, I feel like Moose probably hits a lot harder, and that wouldn't be fun.
Alex, or Jaime, disagree?
Well, I'd like to disagree. Remember, Baron Corbin is a Golden Gloves champion. He's a legit champion. So Baron Corbin's pretty much a hard hitter. He's a fighter himself before he became a football player.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that Baron Corbin is a WWE guy, like built from the ground in the WWE system. Moose has worked with the New Japan guys.
What does that matter?
Well, because Japanese workers work a lot stiffer.
That doesn't make them any tougher.
No, it doesn't, but it means that they hit you a lot harder.
So?
Well, I'm just saying, out of kayfabe, that wouldn't be fun to wrestle a guy who's going to, actually hit you.
Okay, look at it like this. I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the Marine Corps in Hawaii, so I did a lot of running in the sand. Doesn't mean I can run a marathon. My buddy was in the Air Force. Ran a marathon in 4 hours. I had harder training. He was a better runner. Just because you're trained harder doesn't make you better. It just means you went through a little bit more pain. Not to mention...
All I'm saying is I'm a fat, lazy guy who doesn't like getting into violent situations, so I wouldn't want to mess with a guy who wrestled in Japan, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd still think I'm going to side with Jaime on this one. Baron Corbin, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that he looks a little bit more chiseled than what Moose does. Moose looks like he used to be really big and lost a lot of weight really quick. Corbin just looks like he got old. I mean, the hair's going away. You know, he's kind of got the dad body where it's kind of defined but kind of not defined. Baron Corbin looks like he's been through some shit. Moose looks like...
His hairline certainly does.
That's what I'm saying. Moose just looks like he's eaten a lot of shit and then lost it all. And decided, hey, I used to be a big guy, now all this fat's gone, so I look pretty buff, I'm going to go be a wrestler. That's what it looks like. Basically what it comes down to is, Moose looks like the guy that could tell me where the best pizza place is in the neighborhood. Corbin looks like the kind of guy that can shoot me in the face and then walk away. I'm going to choose, I would rather not face Corbin.
Well, I'm not going to deny that Corbin looks a lot more badass. I'm just saying, which I think would probably actually hit me a lot harder. You know?
Well, agree to disagree, and when that happens, I just tell you, you're wrong. Okay, X Division. Now, we know Impact's going to India next week. They have been all about blowing that horn for the last 6 months. Sanjay Dutt, of Indian descent. If his eye is better, him and Low Ki still have a lot of stuff going on, especially, you know, going all the way back 15 years ago. Sanjay Dutt's never won the X Division title. Low Ki was the one that broke Sanjay Dutt's face. They had a stare down as Sanjay was on commentary while Low Ki beat, what was it, Andrew Edwards, right?
Andrew Everett.
Andrew Everett, I'm sorry.
Andrew Everett.
Yeah. So, is this something that we're going to see Jaime?
Yes, definitely. It's something we're going to see, and we're definitely going to see Sanjay Dutt win that title. Should he be medically cleared, and should the title match happen in India, we're definitely going to see this. This is going to be a long feud with a good backstory. It's going to be a long, good feud for them if Sanjay Dutt is cleared.
Well, now, let's be fair. We can't take what we're watching on Impact as it's happening right now. Sanjay Dutt injured his eye and then did commentary on the same night. Like, that was the same set of tapings. So, his eye's fine. I am thoroughly convinced he is 100% okay.
No,
Alex.
bro, he's just that tough.
Oh, absolutely. Is it time in India, in his homeland, as he said last night, is it time for Sanjay Dutt to end the 15-year drought and become X Division champion?
Yeah, I guess. Why not? He's better than Low Ki, at least. And, he's worked for it, so why not put the title on him for a while?
I don't know about being better than Low Ki. I mean, other than the Hitman gimmick, Low Ki's pretty damn good.
Oh, I'm not saying that Low Ki's a bad wrestler. I'm just saying that Low Ki's boring as hell.
Kind of, yeah. But a lot of the X Division, unless they're diving, are terrible. Like, Shane Helms is probably not. Shane Helms isn't terrible. That's the statement I'm going to say there. Now, Jaime, who is the... When we get to lengthy pursuits of a title that was never won, one name comes to mind, and that's Tommy Dreamer in ECW. He went the majority of ECW, never won the championship. Sanjay Dutt, 15 years, the entire history of TNA, never won the X Division. Dreamer got it and wound up becoming a multiple-time ECW champion. What do you think? Is it time that we see Sanjay Dutt win the title?
Yes, why not? Because given that they're injecting a new era into the X Division, so why not, put the title around Sanjay Dutt? It's something new despite Sanjay Dutt being long with the company. It's something new to put it on his waist, so why not? They're injecting a new era in TNA and in Impact anyway, so yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about the X Division just for a few seconds. I was doing a little research for my piece that you can find on RealSport101.com, the 10 best X Division champions. The X Division originally was supposed to have a weight limit of 220. Then it got bumped to 230, and then it just got forgotten about because Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle wanted to be X Division champions. Then they had option B and option C, and then I think there was even an option D. And then it was all title matches had to be in Ultimate X. All title matches had to be triple threats. All title matches had to be this and had to be that. And last night we saw two guys that may or may not have been under the weight limit, if there is a weight limit anymore, go one-on-one for the X Division Championship, which pretty much means every stipulation that set the X Division apart is now gone. Jaime, does this hurt the X Division? That it's now just a regular run-of-the-mill division?
Yeah, it might be, because the X Division is something that's like the smaller, not really smaller guy, but there's just something different with the X Division compared to the World Championship. Even AJ Styles was in the mix for the X Division for a long time until they decided he was ready for the actual world title shot.
Well, remember, that was what brought about Option C, you know. It wound up being Austin Aries that created Option C, where you can trade in the X Division Championship for a title match. Alex, you said that Low-Ki was boring. Who in the X Division do you want to win the championship and then use Option C?
See, I don't like Option C. But if I had to pick someone, let's just say I'll pick someone to win the title, right? Andrew Everett, probably. I don't know if either of you have seen his work on the Indies, but his work in TNA is not representative of how good he can be.
Andrew Everett's Ugh. I about dropped a big one there. Andrew Everett is terrible. He has no look. The most remarkable thing about him, other than the Hurricane Steiner, or whatever you want to call it, which is just badass looking, is his necklace. He looks like the 18-year-old kid in high school that listened to Creed and hung around with all the girls that talked about cutting themselves but weren't really kind of goth, that has the long hair that he kept pulled back in a ponytail that he probably now wears in a man bun. He looks like that kind of guy that thought way too much about God but also did way too many drugs to be a Catholic. That's Andrew Everett.
Are you trying to imply that the X Division has not always been the flippy guys who are small and vanilla midgets division?
I'm implying that Andrew Everett is terrible. That's all I'm saying.
He's just a vanilla midget, just like everyone else in the division.
Whoa. Vanilla midget. Kevin Nash, is that a Kevin Nash reference?
Yes.
Thank you. Benoit, right? That's who he was referring to?
I think it was Benoit and Dean Malenko.
Diesel, what are you thinking? Anyway, Alex, I'm sorry, 9 weeks, and I haven't gotten you guys confused except for this one. Jaime, same question to you. You can put the X Division on anybody to give them an immediate shot at the Impact Championship. Who do you pick?
I'll say I'll go with Trevor Lee. Insert young blood in the world title picture.
So you just want Lashley to be a champion forever because that would be a massacre. You realize that, right? Like, Lashley would kill Trevor Lee.
Well, Lashley's going to drop the belt eventually, so we could see Trevor Lee hang with the likes of your EC3s, or let's say James Storm has his last hurrah on the title, or anyone smaller than Lashley, because you see, Lashley's not going to hold that championship forever, so insert young blood, why not? Trevor Lee.
Okay. You both are wrong, and this is why. It's nobody in the X Division right now. There's nobody in the X Division that could challenge for the Impact Championship. That's why you bring somebody out of the division. You have an Ultimate X match with 6 guys at Slammiversary or whatever, and then have a 7th guy just come from the back and just destroy everybody. James Storm just last call, and then pulls out a ladder, reaches up, grabs it, completely breaking the rules, and then he says, yeah, well, I got the title, so I must have won the match. That makes me the X Division champion, and option C, here you go. Bring out Lashley after he just had a 20-minute match with Alberto El Patron or EC3 or whoever it's going to be, and then James Storm pretty much cashes in Money in the Bank on him, and it's done.
So you basically want to completely redo the story they did with Mike Bennett last year, just without Bennett losing, or just without the person losing the title at the last minute.
I refuse to recognize Mike Bennett and everything that Mike Bennett has ever done. So
you refuse to acknowledge Maria?
Maria, as she existed in the WWE, I acknowledge her. When she left, she was dead to me.
So how are you going to feel when Mike Bennett shows up on SmackDown in a few weeks?
I'm completely unfamiliar with his work since he is completely brand new, so I will enjoy it. Just like he is any other new debuting superstar. I have no idea who he is. I refuse to recognize him. I refuse to recognize anything that he has done, accomplished, or completed, including his wife. I don't care. When he returns for the first time. When he returns, he debuts. How about that? Make sense to you?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It's the same way when or if the Young Bucks ever go to the WWE. I will treat them as brand new superstars that just came out of NXT.
Go screw yourself, Vince.
I'm just saying. That's just the way it is.
You can't. It's the age of the internet. You cannot simply ignore what someone has done before the WWE.
Oh, I beg to differ, sir. The Amish have been doing it since 1840. They have been ignoring everybody since 1840. Why can't I be a little bit Amish and ignore the entire indie wrestling scene? Which I have done very well. And Dan, if you're listening, you're still going to be on trial whenever you come back to face your crimes. It's going to happen.
I hate to point this out, but Ring of Honor and New Japan are not indie.
Oh, Jaime, you want to educate him, please?
Okay, give me one superstar. One superstar that you know is WWE worthy right now.
Kenny Omega.
Boo!
Ooh. Too windy.
EC3.
Oh my God, he's Impact. He's not indie anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, Adam Cole.
He's already in the WWE.
Marty Skrull. The Young Bucks.
Hate him.
Look, here's the thing about
the Guerrillas of War.
Okay, alright, you know what? I'm going to stop this right now. Because the thing that differentiates independent wrestling and major professional wrestling is a big-name TV contract with a network that reaches over half the homes in the United States. Impact, WWE. Ring of Honor doesn't count because Ring of Honor is syndicated late night and only carried by some TV stations, not everywhere, and even on the TV stations that it is carried, it is not carried every week. New Japan does...
In a few months, Ring of Honor will probably be on WGN, I hate to point out.
When it does, we'll revisit the conversation. I watched my first Ring of Honor show a couple of weeks ago, pleasantly surprised. Digress. New Japan doesn't count because it is, in the U.S., pretty much strictly internet-based. Yeah, they do some shows in California, but no.
AXS TV?
Don't have it. Not on my cable box. Not counting it. Sorry. Nobody else is even close.
That's what I was also about to say.
Or
I was about to point out.
The big thing to differentiate whether something is major professional wrestling or independent wrestling is you can pick somebody from each continent. You can pick somebody from Africa. They'll know Impact and they'll know the WWE. They won't know Ring of Honor. They definitely won't know New Japan. Pick somebody from Europe. They might. Probably not. Asia? Yeah, they probably know New Japan, but maybe Ring of Honor for the stuff they do with New Japan. They won't know the rest. Australia? knows nothing except Impact and WWE. Nothing. South America?
I can counter that very simple. You can't. Okay.
Hardcore wrestling fans don't count. Hardcore wrestling fans that have subscriptions to FlowSlam don't count.
I cannot speak on an international level, but here in the U.S., where wrestling actually matters and where the money is made, I could go into the next room right now and talk to my elderly grandmother and ask her if she knows what Ring of Honor is, and she would say yes.
She single? What's up? Anyway, your elderly grandmother aside, she probably knows what Ring of Honor is because you're a fanboy, and you probably talk nothing about nothing.
I don't even watch Ring of Honor.
Oh, bullshit. You'd watch Ring of Honor probably at the same time you're sitting there stabbing voodoo dolls of women because you hate them. And you do it at the same time. That's what you do. That's why your grandmother knows about it, because she's seen your sick voodoo dolls and your drawings about how much you hate women and love Ring of Honor, so she knows. Okay,
I don't watch Ring of Honor or New Japan. That's the thing. I watch maybe a pay-per-view from Ring of Honor every couple of months, and I watched Wrestle Kingdom this year.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right there. The first thing he denied was watching Ring of Honor, not hating women. You know what that is? That's an admission of truth. Alex, the broken comedian, the unfunny comedian, hates women. He said it. You heard it come out of his mouth. End of story.
Well, I mean, it's not untrue, but it's only half true because I hate everyone.
Such a millennial thing to say. Anyway, folks, we have reached the tail end of the Caps, Locks, and Chair Shots podcast. Next week, we may or may not have Dan, depending if he wants to answer any messages, Dan. So if you want to be on next week, Dan, and want to face your court, Dan, message me, Dan. If you want to be on the Caps, Locks, and Chair Shots podcast, be a featured guest, hit us up on our official email address. That's capslocksandchairshots, all one word, @gmail.com. Or you can tweet us directly at CLANDCS on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, Jaime, give them that new Twitter handle you have this week.
Still the same, at the Great JLA, so follow me.
All right, I'm not sure what that last word was, but I hope it was nice. Alex, where can they find you on social media?
Find me as the Unfunny Comedian on Facebook. Find me at Official Unfunny on Twitter. And find me as the Unfunny Comedian on YouTube. And I might start writing for a site called Nerditis again in the future. I'm not quite sure about that one yet.
Well, there you go. And as for me, you can find me on RealSport101.com with all my writing and all those lesser-known wrestling stories you may or may not have heard. You can also see me cover baseball, hockey, and football. As far as Jaime, you can search him on the very same website. That's RealSport101.com, where he covers the MMA and professional wrestling. He does the recaps for 205 Live. I do the recaps for Raw, SmackDown, and Impact. If you would like to get a hold of me on Twitter, it's at CLANDCS. That's at That's at CLANDCS on Twitter. You can also find us on our official Facebook page. That's Caps, Locks, and Chair Shots on Facebook. If you're looking for other avenues to listen to this podcast, not on the site you are on, we are on SoundCloud. Just search us at the very same, or you can search my name, Ed Burkeen. You can also find us on our official YouTube channel, at Caps, Locks, and Chair Shots, and you can find us on, you guessed it, RealSport101.com. All podcasts are up about Friday afternoon, Saturday morning at the latest, and you can listen to all the wrestling action that is action all around the world this week. So, anybody else got any last parting shots to say, Alex? Got anything you want to tell the people?
Stay Koveffe.
Jaime, anything?
Well, that's pretty much it. You said everything.
Alrighty. Well, folks, that's all for the Caps, Locks, and Chair Shots podcast. And as always, if you're not down with us, I have two words for you. Keep listening.